Okay, so right here we actually have a common native plant in lawns, disturbed areas. These can grow in full sun to part shade. Um, so these are a very common native plant, especially in lawns. Um, this is Plantago rugelii. This is native to the eastern half of the United States, including here in Michigan. I don't think it's native to the extreme deep south, but it is native to most of the south, I think. And you can see one of the ways to tell this apart from the non-native invasive plantain species, Plantago major, which is from Europe, is that it has this red here on the petiole. So usually it'll have that red on the petiole near the base, you can see. And then you can see right here is the flower stalk, which will eventually be the seed stalk. You can see the flowers are very tiny, and you can see this seed slash flower stalk is very, very tall and skinny, and that's a telltale sign that this is Plantago rugelii. Usually it will be really tall and skinny like that, or at least very skinny like this one is here too. Another Plantago rugelii right there. And I noticed too, this one at least has kind of a look how small those flowers are. They're so small. Apparently they're mostly wind pollinated, which is pretty interesting, which would explain why they're so small. This particular species is. And these are actually perennial too, so these will come up every year, and these like to grow in moist soil ideally. They seem to do really well on heavy clay soils, but they seem to be able to grow in sandier soils and other soil types just fine. But they definitely do prefer moist soil given a choice, but they will tolerate some pretty dry soil as well. So they're pretty versatile. It's a very easy native plant to grow. This is actually a host for the native Junonia conea butterfly, also known as the common buckeye butterfly. So this is good for them, and it's also just a really nice little native plant to have around. This is great to grow in pots, especially larger pots, and it's very easy to grow in pots from my experience, especially if it's larger. And the only reason I say that is because they do like a little bit of moisture. They're a little bit sensitive to drying out like too much. In the ground they're usually fine, but like in a pot, because they can only pull so much moisture, once that soil is lost, it just it can be really hard on them. So it's better to put them in a bigger pot if you try to grow them in a pot. But they seem to do really good if you put them in a bigger pot. So yeah, anyway, or I guess you could just water the smaller pot if you do that. But anyway, yeah, so really nice native plant. The other thing is, usually the leaves on Plantago rugelii will be a little bit narrower than Plantago major. They still can be a little bit wide, but they're not going to be nearly as wide as Plantago major in most cases. They're going to be a little bit narrower, but they do get a tiny bit wide. So they are very closely related species. They do look very similar, but there's definitely some differences to look for. Yeah, these do have a tendency to reseed themselves as well. And because they're so naturally short, this would probably be a really good native lawn alternative or something like that. So yeah.